Hey there, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Andrea and I love the Pilates method of exercise. And today I have an exercise tutorial for you. This is a request from my dear friend Alessandra. She's a client of mine and we've become friends, and she requested this tutorial of the overhead on the reformer. I know, what a fantastic exercise to have a tutorial on. It's a really, really good one. And so I thought today we would talk about it, and maybe others have questions about it and are working on getting their proficiency better and better as well. So let's talk about the order of the reformer exercises first. And historically and currently, the order of the exercises that I use places the overhead at the very top of the workout. So you have your footwork positions, balls of the feet, arches, heels, tendon stretch. You have the 100, and then the next exercise is the overhead. And I encourage you to think that this is not a rash decision to have this overhead exercise as the third exercise. And I should mention also that potentially, depending on who you are, it could also be the fourth exercise instead of the third exercise. If you insert the frog and the circles as the third exercise, that's one place that the frog and circles can be. Then you have a little bit of extra time to prepare your body for the overhead. And we're going to talk about exactly how you are preparing your body as well. So you may have learned in your Pilates training that as the third exercise at certain levels of student and practitioner, that the short spinal massage is at the top of the workout. And I'm going to just tell you my opinion of why I prefer the short spinal massage to be later in the order and to keep the overhead in its original position. The overhead and the short spinal massage, while they upside down may look somewhat similar, and they are a big stretch of the whole back of you, that was you doing those exercises, they attach you to the reformer in very different ways. In the overhead, it's in the top of the order, and the lower body is free. You're only attached to the upper, on your part of your back, and your handles are in your hands. So you're attached to the reformer at the strap and the handle. And in the short spinal massage, you're still attached at the strap and the handle, but now the straps are on the lower body. So you are being taken over there with something attached to the lower body, and therefore it's a big stretch of the back, particularly perhaps of the low back, and the reformer is going to take you there. So later in the order of the reformer, after the short box is traditionally where the short spinal massage will go, you are really warm. You've just done all those crazy, challenging, hard, sweaty exercises on the short box, and so you are ready to take full advantage of a big, opening, juicy back stretch that perhaps at the top of the reformer, only having done the footwork, the 100, and perhaps frog and circles, you may not want to be taken somewhere that your body is not yet ready, warmed up, and to go there yet. So the overhead is a bit self-limiting. You are either going to go over there or you're not. And as we look about breaking down the exercise, we'll talk about, you'll see how that kind of plays into it as well. So that's why I like the placement of short spine later and the overhead a little bit at the top of the workout. So what's happening in those beginning exercises to prepare you for the overhead at the top of the workout? Let's talk about the footwork. And as I've said before, we could talk about the footwork for days. We could examine the minutia of the feet and compensations and all kinds of stuff. But if you just zoom out, the footwork exercise is an over and over 30 times plus of a big warm-up of the lower body and the back. So it's a long time that you get to do that. And if you work those exercises well, it will start to open up and warm up the back to be able to achieve the overhead. Same way as the 100. The 100 is a long exercise. The warm-up goes on for 10 pumps. And if during the 100, using those pumps, you're trying to open up and lengthen your back along the surface of the mat, You've got that whole long exercise to, again, really open up and warm up the back of your body. Then if you insert the frog and the circles, again, now you have an unstable exercise to warm up the center, which is on the mat, even further. So by the time, if you work those 4 exercises well, you're going to be able to go over in the overhead with a modicum of success. And we'll look at ways to kind of achieve that gradually. Also on your reformer journey, there are exercises around the studio as you progress from sort of a fundamental reformer order, adding in all your exercises, eventually adding the overhead. There are so many exercises around the studio that are going to be prerequisites and are going to assist you to do the overhead better. Perhaps the most similar exercise is the jackknife on the mat, because it's a similar action, pretty much literally. There's also the tower on the Cadillac. Every exercise really that opens up the whole back of you. You'll do probably short spinal massage later in the order without ever doing the overhead at the top. Your frog and circles can still be the main lower body exercise with the straps at the top of the workout. And so you've been doing short spinal massage for a while, you're doing all your rolling exercises. So slowly you'll be able to build to the overhead with consistency. And now I want to mention something that's a little bit, I don't want to say unorthodox, but it's not for everyone, and it's really reserved for people that you know very well. You've been teaching them for a long time, you know their bodies, and you know that they would benefit from doing the overhead at the top of the workout, even if their overhead doesn't look like your overhead, even if their overhead is just a portion of the overhead, as much as they can control. They're still deriving a benefit from it, even if it's not the ultimate expression of the exercise. And they're still working all their exercises around the system to perfect and eventually do the full version of the overhead. Okay, so now I've said overhead like a million times, and I haven't even shown you what we're talking about. So I will insert some photos of all the exercises I talk about, so that if you're lost, you'll know what I'm talking about. So let's talk about, I'll show the exercise. I am on the Balanced Body J. Grimes Contrology Reformer. My headpiece is down. I have 2 springs on in the middle, and I have my handles and straps. Let's presume I've done a beautiful set of footwork. I've done the 100, and I've just changed my spring, and I'm ready to go. So the overhead in its full form, everything moves together, over and up, and then down with control. End with control, and then go again. And up, and then keep the lift, and roll down. Okay. So for the special case that I mentioned, people that you know a long, long time, you know that they can benefit from just even a portion of this exercise. And I'm speaking of specific people that I teach that are long-time clients, but very, very stiff backs. So we work so hard to open up this area, and often it's people that have really a lot of stiffness that maybe it's hard for them to coordinate how to lift their hips up over their shoulders. And it's not necessarily, it is strength and flexibility, but it's also like that's not a position they find themselves in, so to figure out how to do that is going to be a bit challenging. And you're not going to fix that with only the overhead on the reformer. As I say, they're doing all kinds of things all around the studio. However, I'm just going to give you a little taste of what that might look like, because they're all skills that you're going to use elsewhere. So maybe for someone to use their center to move their arms and their legs to 90 degrees and to control it back down again. Maybe that's challenging for someone to do. So they find their center with the straps and they use it to bring their legs there. And then they control it back. So then maybe the next step would be that they get there, they control their lift as much as they can, they place themselves down, they continue. And for someone that I'm speaking of, this is going to be really super challenging. And I have to say, it's not very easy to do. It's hard for me too. So here we go again. So they go here, they go here, and they control themselves down. And this is also great for people that maybe are new to you. They've been doing the overhead, but perhaps when you see the overhead, you don't want them to do the overhead like that. So you can give them control, because my concern with people doing the overhead that I don't know very well, that I see the overhead and I think, oh, I wouldn't choose to have you do that. Usually it's because there's no control, or there's a very little control as they're going over. And that's really the part where you want to be in control the most. So learning and building that control in just from no momentum can be beneficial for those people too. Because you want to make sure that in the midst of the overhead, there is control. It's contrology. There should be some control. So let's take a look. You're doing the overhead either yourself or your clients. Let's talk about some pitfalls in the exercise, how to better the exercise, and things like that. So I'm going to set up the exercise again. The thing that I see the most is there's a rush to go straight up, and the person could benefit in the exercise from going a little bit more over before they go up. And I'll explain why. So you may have seen an overhead that looks like this. Let's see if I can do this. Where they go right for the up, and there's no over. And that's actually a little bit harder to do and I'll explain why. So the over really gets you so your shoulders are under your hips. So you have this, oops, I can't move those. So you have this back position that is shoulders and hips right over. And then all you have to do is get tall in your back and use your bottom and go up. And then you're going to keep going up on the way down. Okay, that was hard to do. I'm going to do it again in real time. So you'll notice that my hips get right in place, and that way I don't have to lift everything up. I just have to extend myself to the ceiling. My butt is already where it needs to be. I don't have to haul it up anywhere anymore. Over, and then taller in your back, touch the ceiling, and then imagine that tower bar. That's what you want to really reach to with your middle back. On the way down. This is a hard one to talk during. One more time. Over and up. So usually it'll get much more manageable once you get the over in place. Then you can kind of feel your lift in the center, and you can use your bottom to help extend your lift and your toes to the ceiling, and then you'll control the down. And I would say that's mainly the thing that you want to make sure is in the exercise. The other concern I would say is that to make sure that it's not too slow. You want to feel like there's definitely a rhythm in the exercise, and while that is challenging, it's really also challenging to go slowly, as you can see. So you're going to go over and up, and then all the way down. And you can kind of make it so that the over up lasts as long as the rolling down. So it's a pretty even sort of exercise. So I'm going to do just a few more, just to think about that rhythm. Because sometimes I tend to be a little bit like, after I get the over and I'm kind of there, sometimes I spend a little time trying to fix some things as I lengthen, and it can kind of turn into a 3-act play. So do keep the rhythm. This is a rhythm-heavy section of the workout. Between the footwork, the 100, the overhead. Okay, here we go. So, over and up, and roll down. Over and up, and roll down. One more. So I hope you find that helpful. Alessandra, thank thank you so much. What a brilliant suggestion, this exercise. Anything that gets me sweating, it's all good stuff. So thank you again for watching, and if you have questions or comments, do leave me a comment below. Let's have a conversation. I've been really enjoying all all the stuff that's going on in the comments. It's really, really exciting, and I will talk to you later. Thank you so much. If you'd like to see more videos like this, do become a subscriber. Click the bell icon. You'll never miss when I publish a post. And then have a great day. Bye. All the way up the other to the ceiling. All the way down one side. All the way up the other to the ceiling. And then finally down the center and ready to do the next exercise. So that one also, there's a lot of different progressions to do. Oh, the saw. So there's a little nicer version where the back arm